Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar today titled Leveraging LinkedIn to Establish Your Authority, How Board Candidates Elevate Themselves Through Effective Content Strategy. This is a topic I'm excited to have Rocco speak about today. It's also one of the areas that garners the most questions and fear, quite frankly, Rocco, just so you know, in our course and for many executives or even established career directors in making sure they're viewed as modern directors in today's pretty competitive environment. So let's get started. Glad to have everybody with us today. A few webinar reminders and things to mention. Purpose of today's webinar is to share knowledge of how to add to your ideal board candidate profile and stand out from your competition. This is truly a great way to do this. I can tell you from working with a large number of nominating committees, they are looking to see that you're an expert in your field and you're someone who's sharing of information and your knowledge. If you have questions, please write your questions in the Q&A section. Our goal is always to answer all questions at the close of the presentation. Otherwise, we'll follow up with you via email afterwards. Always ask this question. Yes, the materials and the entire webinar is being recorded. You'll receive a link via email shortly in the next day or two. This link will also include the ability to view and download the presentation deck in its own separate file. Rest assured, if you are a graduate of the IBDC.D program and you have your certification, you will receive 1 CPE credit by attending. Be sure to follow the proper CPE credit submission guidelines. Thank you. All right, let me do an introduction. Rocco, it is great to have you with us today.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, it's I realized I think we've known each other now for well over a decade. I couldn't find the exact date that we met or how, but it's been a pleasure knowing you and working with you. We've served on a board together as well in our past. But let me do a quick intro of you. You help coaches, consultants, and experts with LinkedIn lead generation, thought leadership, and effective content strategy. Definitely needed today. You're an accomplished attorney specialized in preventing, mediating, and litigating disputes between business partners. That is a tough world. I'll give you credit with that, but you're the perfect personality to be doing that, calm, cool, collected, and working towards the outcomes that is beneficial to all. And you're also the author of the book, Strengthening Business Partnerships, Achieving Success Through Trust, Communication, and Fairness. Good to have you again with us today, Rocco.
Thank you, Mark. I'm humbled by that introduction.
And it's all true as well, so I feel good in making the statements. I'm your host today, Mark Pfister. I'm a governance and strategy expert, non-executive director, and chief board consultant. My book, Across the Board, I'm happy to say now has reached a pretty good circulation, a pretty high circulation in over 70 countries. And I'm the creator of the IBDC.D program, globally recognized board education and certification program. Rocco, let's get you kicked off here. I'm going to stop sharing and you can go ahead and start sharing your screen. And many are waiting to hear everything you have to say today. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I really appreciate that. I'm excited to talk to everybody about leveraging LinkedIn to establish your authority. I know that many of you are either in the beginning of stages of trying to land your first board seat, and also we have those of you who are seasoned directors. I am a board director myself. So I can, speak your language and understand what you're trying to do and where you're coming from. So while this is more of a general presentation on leveraging LinkedIn to establish your authority, I'm going to skew it in that direction as much as I possibly can and give examples and things like that that are relevant to, connecting with folks on LinkedIn who are going to get you that coveted prize of getting that board seat that you so desire. Just as a general proposition, establishing your authority is so important to land that board seat. And, a lot of us might be either never posting content on LinkedIn at all, or we might be, trying to do it and it's just not working. So whatever stage you're at, I'm going to try and help you today get to a level where it's going to be an effective use of your time and efforts to get some good results. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what is a LinkedIn content strategy? And we'll go through what that means, the type of content you're going to be posting, how often you're going to post, who your target audience is going to be, and where should I post this content anyway. So let's start it. And what is a LinkedIn content strategy? It's a plan for creating and sharing content on LinkedIn that will help you achieve your business or personal goals. And in this case, most of you want to achieve the goal of landing a board seat. And so that's what we're going to try and focus on today. There's different types of content you can post on LinkedIn. There's many things you can do. And as we'll discuss in more detail, we're going to try and have a goal and a strategy in place that has varying types of content. Just like, everything else, variety is the spice of life, right? Your audience is not going to want to say the same thing over and over again. It's going to make things more interesting and less repetitive. So different types of content, original posts. If you go on LinkedIn and on your homepage and you click on create a post, you can really say anything there. Typically I use that to craft my own like mini articles to add value on a business issue, and that's going to be part of your strategy, is what you're actually going to want to talk to your audience about, but we'll get to that. Articles are more robust kind of posts. A post is kind of a short and sweeter version. An article is a bit longer. Articles are typically, if you see what Mark does on a monthly basis, his newsletter, that's kind of what an article would look like. Newsletters, the same thing. Could be a variety of topics, whether it's talking about your an important topic in the news, or something about your business. Those monthly newsletters that a lot of businesses send out. Blog posts, if you have a blog yourself, you can connect, you can do a short summary of your blog post and then link to your actual blog. Industry news articles, an article that you read in the Wall Street Journal, or on some business magazine that you enjoy, you're more importantly your audience enjoys. You'll want to link to that with a short blurb on it's a brief summary of the article that would be valuable to your readers, and kind of prompt them to read the article in depth themselves. Infographics, pie charts, bar graphs, things like that. That can be used by itself or in combination with some article or post. Slideshows, videos, updates on you or your business, something going on in your business life, and surveys, asking people questions, getting the audience to interact. Those are all great types of content that you can use and vary throughout your posting calendar. Here's some examples of content. On the left is a recent post that I did talking about sales funnels, and it's not the whole thing, but you get the gist of it. But in the middle, there's an infographic, something that has a lot of information and statistics. And on the right, there's what somebody did was basically what I described before, sharing an article This one is on UK interest rates, and then you'll notice on the top he is sharing and summarizing what the article is about. Now, how often should we all post? This is, kind of a decision that you need to make in terms of what um, your the amount of time you have to dedicate to this. I personally post 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, once a day. Some people are doing it multiple times per day, once a day, 7 days a week. You can do it once a week, once every 2 weeks, monthly. It really depends on your schedule and how much bandwidth you have to dedicate to this. In the absence of having someone else do it for you. So I would recommend what I do, which is once a day, Monday through Friday. LinkedIn is kind of like a business person's Facebook. It's mostly used during the week. People like to take a break from business like on the weekends. So I don't know that posting 7 days a week is necessarily the best thing. And I would rather put my efforts into crafting 5 really good pieces instead of 7 mediocre pieces. So that's the way I do it. Now, you have to figure out who your target audience is, right? Because you're not going to talk about legal issues with someone who is not interested in legal issues. If you're talking to directors, you're going to think about what kind of people comprise that avatar of a director or a decision maker on who is going to hire a director. For example, a business owner, other board members, chairman of the board, CEOs, COOs, CFOs, other C-suite members. And you also want to think about whether you want to be in a particular industry vertical. Are you in the manufacturing industry? Are you in the tech industry? All these things kind of go into formulating who your target audience is and how to speak to them. Where to post content. So there's 3 main places to post content. The first is going to be on your profile. So that is an easy to do, whether it's a post or an article or newsletter. All those things can be done directly on your profile. So when people go through their feed, those things will pop up on their feed. Groups, if you're a member of a group, which I strongly suggest that you do, join groups that are in your industry that you want to focus on. There are board specific groups on LinkedIn. If you do a search for those. And groups are a great way to meet like-minded individuals who are looking for board candidates. And so that's a way to really hone your messaging and to get it to a very specific audience. If you have a business and you have a company page on LinkedIn, that's also a place to post your articles and your other forms of content. Let's go to the next section. So now we're going to talk about best practices for sharing content. There's a few keys that I kind of follow to make sure that you're following best practices. So the first thing you want to do is you want to add value, right? You want to actually share things that your audience is going to be interested in, that they find valuable. And you're going to know this by knowing who your audience is, right? And then if you're in these groups, you're going to see people asking questions, and you're going to do research, and you're going to figure out, what are, people who are hiring board candidates, what are they interested in? And it's not just about the board, right? It's about, if they're business owners, what are business owners interested in, right? They're interested in the economy, they're interested in how to run their business better, they're interested in sales, they're interested in marketing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, about board issues. It could be about more general things, just something that they would be interested in, so you can grab their attention and connect with them. Mark and I love this concept. Teach, don't sell. It's all about, you're not trying to get married on the first date, so to speak. You're trying to add value in a way that you're showing your expertise, right? You're showing through your posts, through your articles, through your newsletters, through all your content, that you are an expert in what you're talking about, and you're using that opportunity to provide them with useful information. And you're not trying to say, hey, give me a board seat. That's not the route you want to take. That's going to come naturally when they find what you're teaching valuable, and that the content is great, and that selling part, the teaching is going to do the selling for you. Use keywords, hashtags. These are all things that people, not only search for, but if they see them come up, they're going to, focus on those, keywords that they're looking for, that they're interested in. Use images, infographics, and videos whenever possible. Visual content is more likely to catch someone's eye as they're scrolling through your feed, right? Think about this. If you're scrolling through a feed and all you see is like text, right? That's boring. You're gonna glaze right over on that, and you're not gonna pay attention. But if there's a video, or there's a funny picture, or there's emojis, like anything to catch a visual, that's going to help you grab attention. Let's keep it brief. Brevity is key. Keep your post short and sweet. That's what I find. 5 paragraphs or so, not something that if they open up, it's going to be like a huge looks like it's going to look like Santa's list that keeps rolling and rolling out. You're going to want to keep it short and sweet, pack it in, be efficient with your words, and give them valuable content in a short post. Readers are going to be more likely to engage with something that's easy to digest. Call to actions. I use these sparingly but effectively. Typically what I will do as a call to action will be ask a question like, hey, share your thoughts in the comments below. Something short and sweet like that. Don't overuse it, and use it once a week, twice a week. Don't use it like every single day when you're posting. Again, you want to vary your content in a way that's kind of fresh, at least not repetitive every day. Of course, this goes without saying. You have to proofread everything before hitting publish. You'd be amazed to see people misspell things, and the formatting doesn't look right. Poor grammar, commas and spelling errors. It just reflects poorly on you, and it just takes away from your expertise. So that would be my, suggestion on that. So analytics, LinkedIn will keep analytics on your posts. Mainly, the main one is shows how many impressions that your post had. So you can tell by the number of impressions that are on your articles. You can tell what your audience likes. If you have, hundreds and hundreds of impressions on one particular post, and then, a really small amount on another one, you can see, well, maybe I should stay away from that topic in the future. Let me focus more on, getting, things that people are more interested in. How does content strategy work? We'll talk about strategy on types of content, building relationships, and lead generation. A strategy of LinkedIn content has three main goals: building relationships, creating a strong LinkedIn presence, and elevating yourself as an expert. Different posts have different purposes. One might be designed to increase brand awareness of yourself, while others might be meant to showcase your subject matter knowledge. You need to understand these goals before you create any content. And then once you know what you want to achieve, you can create a strategy to help you reach your goals. Again, it's a good LinkedIn content strategy is going to include a mix of different types of content, such as posts, articles, infographics, and videos. Building relationships. Content strategy is the process of planning, creating, and distributing content to achieve specific objectives. And the main objective that you have and looking for a board seat is you want to build relationships, and that's going to be the key to your success. So that's going to be your main focus, is building relationships so you can land that elusive board seat. Lead generation, that's another, it's not the focus of today, but it's certainly another area that you can focus on. But in this context, lead generation means you're trying to get leads for decision makers on board seats. So this is applicable in that way. So lead generation for that purpose is going to be one of your key goals. By having this content strategy, you're going to establish a thought leadership and expertise. A strong LinkedIn content strategy can help establish yourself as a thought leader in your industry. If you can consistently produce insightful and valuable content, your prospects will begin to see you as an expert in your field. And this is a great way to differentiate yourself from your competitors who are looking for board seats, and also build trust with your prospects. And you're going to get a great return on investment by doing this, I promise you. What you're doing in the process of creating this content strategy is you're building your personal brand. And becoming a well-trusted name on LinkedIn takes planning, skill, and consistent posting. I have to stress the word consistent. That's what this is all about. If somebody goes to your LinkedIn homepage, there's a section on that page that shows your activity. They go on that and they're going to see by the end of the year, if you do this 5 times a week, you're going to have 260 pieces of content. I mean, that's gonna be impressive. It's gonna assuming that it's good content, it's gonna blow people away. Wow, this guy is this guy or this woman is really a thought leader. They're posting, and look how many pieces of content they have, and they're constantly adding value um, to their LinkedIn profile. Um, this is going to lead to getting more leads and more board opportunities, because when you reach out to connect with somebody, or even if somebody organically sees what you're posting, they're going to be more likely to connect with you. Brand awareness. Let's look at the infographic on the right. So you might be no brand awareness right now, but this process will get you to the top of mind at the top of the pyramid. This is what you want to accomplish with your content strategy. When you publish high quality content on LinkedIn, you have the potential to be seen and noticed by millions of people. And this is done by people sharing your posts. And it just exponentially grows. If you can get your target audience to read and share your content, your brand's reach on LinkedIn will significantly increase. Again, this is about generating leads. You're going to be able to connect more quickly and more effectively with your prospects. Key factors comprising a great LinkedIn content strategy. We want to set clear goals. We want to do consistent posting, and we want to have a mixture of text and visual. Just remember, your goals should be smart. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Again, consistent posting. Monday through Friday is my recommendation, once a day. That consistency will lead over time to a great number of posts and outreach. Again, a mixture of both text and visual. Just all the text in one post is not going to catch anyone's attention. How to write compelling content. So, what is content writing? Content writing is the process of creating, engaging, fresh content in different formats, including things like case studies, white papers, articles, posts, videos, brochures, and promotional material. Your writing's got to be engaging, informative, and have keywords to target prospects. Content writing is important to, it's crucial to deliver your message to prospects. Quality content delivers the right messages in an engaging way that educates the reader, builds relationships with prospects, and elevates your authority. And in doing so, it will increase the reader's trust in you, because remember, people want to do business with people who they know, like, and trust. Content writing best practices. Develop your prospect avatar. Consistent voice. Cite to authorities. You're going to want to keep an eye on your formatting so things look nice. Again, have visuals, infographics, videos, things like that. Avoid sounding salesy. Again, teach, don't sell. And then you want to have a content checklist to make sure that you're ticking off every box. Content writing strategies. You want to have an attention-grabbing headline. You want to have an effective outline so it looks nice. You want to have every post should be have a single purpose, right? You don't want to do too much, right? You just make one point and stick to it. You don't want to be making multiple points. Stick to one idea and go into brief detail on it. Include your unique perspective. This is important. A lot of people just post articles without commenting on them. What you want to do is summarize them and maybe give your take on it. You want something to be easy to read. It's got to flow nicely. It's got to be spaced the right way. SEO is going to be, focusing on keywords, on hashtags. So these things will get picked up in searches. Look at what your competition is doing. See how other folks looking for a board seat are, what are they doing? What are they posting? In these groups that you're going to join or that you're in, what kind of questions are they asking? You want to also determine your prospect intent. What are the folks who are looking for board candidates? What does that person want? What are they looking for? What information is valuable to them? You want to write conversationally, write as if you're talking. Don't write, typically write at a level that's, like a ninth grade level. That's what the New York Times is written at. Don't be super esoteric or, wordy and use really complicated words that people have to break the dictionary out for. And then support your content with authorities and statistics. That builds your credibility. Final point is building your brand on LinkedIn. These are different ways you can do that. Join groups, ask and answer questions, start discussions. It'll position you as an expert and a thought leader. Interact with others in the groups. Build connections with not only people in the groups, but look for strategic partners and influencers in the space, in the board space. People like Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. There's other ways to do this. You can speak. You can do webinars like this. You can do LinkedIn Live. You can interview experts. You can conduct summits. Look at who viewed your profile and then see who they are, and maybe those are people who want to connect with you and you want to connect with, and they might be people looking for directors. Give endorsements and recommendations and ask for them. Nothing beefs up a nice LinkedIn profile than having a bunch of endorsements and recommendations. Reach out to people, make connection requests, and send emails. Just to summarize, I think these are my 8, key points. Sit down. The first step is to create your LinkedIn content strategy. Set clear goals. Post consistently. If there's any point I have to make to stress, this is the one. Post consistently. Just set it on your calendar every day. Do it at the same time every day, so you know that it becomes a habit. Vary the types of content. Posts, articles, videos, infographics. Follow the best practices I mentioned for sharing content. Really understand your prospect avatar through research. Use best practices and content writing strategies to create compelling content, and use strategies to build your brand on LinkedIn. Now, for some of you, you don't have the time, right? What if I don't have the bandwidth to develop and implement a LinkedIn content strategy? Well, I can help you with that. I help lots of business owners, people looking for board seats, all sorts of business people to implement a LinkedIn content strategy, whatever your goal might be. So you can contact me. There's my email address, and you can book a free 30-minute call with me. There's a link to do that, and I know Mark will share that with you as well in the program for today. So that's all I have. Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll kick it over to you.
Great information, Rocco. I'm going to share my screen. We'll get to the Q&A in just a second here as well. Make sure I can go to full screen. So many of the things you mentioned are, as I mentioned earlier at the intro, are areas of fear for many executives or those on the board directorship path, or for those that are established directors that want to keep their modern aura and persona, as you call it, your avatar, for their opportunities. And yes, initial searches can be done on LinkedIn, but there are also opportunities here where I can say when I'm working with nominating committees, once I see someone's proper, hopefully their proper board documents that are submitted and they haven't sent a resume or CV, the next thing I do is I'm looking on LinkedIn. I want to see if they're viewed as an expert, if they've established their authority, if people are listening to them and they have something, multiple things of intelligence to share that relate back to their field or area of expertise that can be leveraged on the board. So great information, Rocco. Thank you so much. Quick reminder, many of you on this webinar are here for your CPE credits. But for those that are joining us for the first time, know that this topic Rocco spoke about, as well as many other, we go in depth in the IBDC.D program and certification. It's an international education and certification for board directors. Hope to see you in the course if you haven't already experienced it. All right, lots of questions here, Rocco. Let me start out with one. I know that content strategies can take some time to get traction. How do I know I'm on track and gaining momentum? I'm going to add something to that question of, I know there's that point at which you can reach that where you feel like you're making a difference and people are engaging and getting involved. Sometimes you kind of you get to the point where the switch is flipped, but how do you keep that momentum going and how do you know that you're on the right path?
No, it's a great question. So the first thing I would say is, you're posting valuable content by looking at the analytics, primarily the number of impressions that you're getting. So if you're only getting like 10 impressions, then probably not something people are excited to hear about. Now, with all that said, the amount of impressions is going to exponentially increase with the number of connections that you have. So if you don't have a lot of connections, don't be discouraged, because the way you're going to increase the amount of connections is by reaching out and making connection requests, sending emails, and building your connections. And so the more connections you have, the more chance of your content being seen. And the better the content, the quality of the content is, the more likely it will be shared. And so it just has a multiplying effect. So if you've got a decent number of connections, you should be seeing, several hundred impressions. And so, I would just judge it that way. And you're going to, it's kind of a trial and error thing. Some topics are going to resonate more than others, and you're going to figure that out by keeping track of the analytics.
Great. Good. Thank you. All right. This question comes to us. Look at this. So this is a graduate of the IBDC.D program. It's about 1 a.m. their time in Perth, Australia. And their question is, in terms of establishing one's authority and extending your reach, is it recommended to double publish, meaning recycle content across platforms? In other words, can you or should you duplicate content from one's blog article to one's LinkedIn profile, or does the content need to be unique and exclusive to each respective platform? Good question.
Great question. And I have good news. You can, in my opinion, you can recycle that. And that was actually one of the initial things I had mentioned was creating what's called a blog post, which is basically a regular post on LinkedIn that you could do from your homepage. And what you're going to do is you're going to just summarize very briefly what the blog is about, and then you're going to post the link to that blog. And then so it's not actually the same material, really. It's taking material that you already have and using it in a different way. So you're not actually posting the whole blog there. What you're doing is you're catching someone's attention by summarizing what the blog is about, and then inviting them to go to your blog and explore more. And so that way I wouldn't say, because most people on LinkedIn are probably not going to know about your blog, right? They're especially if it's a new connection, or somebody that's not a connection that's viewing your post because it was shared by one of your connections. And so it's a great way. So I wouldn't think of it as double posting or using the same material over and over again. You're using it in a different way, and you're also kind of funneling people to your blog, which is going to be a great thing because I'm sure you have more than one thing on your blog. You probably have a lot of things on your blog, and that's a great way for people to move off of LinkedIn and into your world and see what you're up to and be impressed by your expertise.
Yeah, I'm probably a good example of this, Rocco, too, where I do my monthly article that goes out via email, and typically the next day I repost that or put that up on LinkedIn. I want
Yep.
the evergreen nature of the LinkedIn article also for that ecosystem of search and also as we talk about the building of the authority. So great question. Um, I'm going to link this other question here as well. Um, I feel free to disagree or this is a funny question. I've heard Mark mention that original content that I have created is best. Do you agree?
I mean, it depends on how good your original content is,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So I would say as a kind of like a generally speaking, I would agree with that. Um, so number one, it's really original content. Mark, I know you do a lot of it, and it's great. And it's again, it's the quality of what the content is. Is it interesting? Is it something your audience is going to be interested in? Is it something, if your goal is to land a board seat, is it something that the decision maker is going to find interesting? That's really
Yeah, yeah.
my focus would be on that. So if you can craft an original piece of content that would be very interesting to the avatar of a prospect that you're looking to connect with, I would say that's probably the best. Now, equally good might be, an article from The Economist that is really relevant to the industry that you're in, or, it's all about what the decision maker
Mhm.
is interested in. So,
And I think it
obviously,
plays into Rocco what you mentioned about varying the types of content. And I can,
yeah,
you know this as well. Creating original content is quite time consuming. I mean, that's my
yeah,
life every month, creating some new topic that's either relevant or something that's trending or recent current events. If I was trying to do that on a daily basis, I would run out of material and it'd be a full-time job to do that. Which is
for
why
sure.
you do what you do. You help out with that.
Right.
But okay, understood. Great, thank you. Where's the another question here? Can you speak more about branding? And I think what they mean here is the personal. What level should this be taken to personally?
Well, what I mean by personal branding is by sharing different kinds of content in areas that are interesting and valuable to your decision maker, the prospect you're looking to connect with and develop a relationship with. The brand that you're creating is going to be through that content. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to establish yourself as an expert, as the go-to person in your industry, and that is the brand that you want to create. Now, of course, you're going to personalize that because we're all unique individuals, and that's part of it. But that's what I mean by building a brand. That you're a person that is known, liked, and trusted.
Mhm.
You're going to do that by sharing valuable content in different ways.
Yeah, and I think this particular question summarizes a lot of that fear I mentioned earlier about how do I go from possibly being under the umbrella of this company that does their own branding and there's a marketing division of that company, and how do I start to do that myself? I think you've covered a lot of those areas in how to think about that. A content strategy can be an amazing way to establish your authority, and of course, we make the linkages back of that to be discoverable and sought after as it relates to board roles, whether you're aspiring or an experienced director. Very good. Okay. Um, this is another great question. What amount of time commitment do you think is required to do this successfully? Even if I outsource content creation assistance, what is a safe amount of time I should dedicate to ensure the content is relevant and in my own style?
Hmm, that's a great question. I mean, if you're doing it yourself, I would say, you know, what I try and do is do a mix of things, right? So anything from original content to um, you know, uh, finding an article and creating a quick summary on that. Obviously, again, the original content's going to take longer. Um, but it depends on how much, it really just depends on how much time you have to dedicate. And what you do is, take that time and figure out, all right, with, maybe with 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, Monday through Friday, what can I do? Or if you, what I typically do is on the weekend, I will pump out 5 different pieces of content, or at least, as many as I can of that 5. So I'm ahead of the game. So all I have to do is go post it. Um,
When you say pump out, you mean pre-create it, so then you're just posting that during the week on your schedule for your content strategy.
right. So ideally on Saturday and or Sunday, you're spending some time because you do have more time on the weekend, presumably to dedicate to this. So it doesn't cut into your work week. That's one strategy. Another is just calendaring, 30 minutes, in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, breaking it up into bite-sized pieces, where you just create content during that time period. So I would say, if you spent 30 to 60 minutes a day, you're not going to be drafting, white papers in that amount of time, but you could certainly, create, content. But again, the more time you spend, the higher the quality is going to be. So it's really an individual decision preference, but I would think that if you spent 30 to 60 minutes 5 days a week, you could probably do something pretty good.
Great. All right, we have time for one last question, probably the speed round here in your response to this. I'll summarize the question. It has to do with picture copyrights. And the gist of this question is, if you're posting and you're looking for the visual, the graphics you mentioned, or the pictures, does this person, or do we need to be concerned about any type of copyrights in reusing that picture? They go on to say here that they sometimes just do a search on Google for a picture and copy and paste it and put it into their article or as the cover picture. What is your take on that? What is the right way to do it?
Well, without giving legal advice, obviously, if something is copyrighted, and people, find it, they can certainly enforce that copyright. But I think, there's so much content on the internet and so many pictures available. And it's easy to just copy and paste things. I wouldn't be too worried about it. It's certainly a possibility. There's certainly a risk there, but it's not something that should keep you up at night.
Yeah. I'll tell you quickly what I do with this, whether it's a cartoon that I include in each one of my monthlies or a picture. For a very small amount of money, you can go and get the usable license for these minimal amounts, and then you're protected and you're covered with those also. So just another option.
Yep.
All right. Rocco, thank you so much for your time today. Great information. For everybody joining today, they'll get a copy of the presentation. I know, Rocco, you covered a lot of ground today, but shortly you received a link to both the video as well as the presentation. You can download that, use it as your roadmap, and feel free to reach out to Rocco also for your content strategy and possibly some of your content creation as well. Rocco, thank you very much. We will talk soon.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Great. Talk soon. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.